Hi everyone, my name is Kaylee and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay everybody, happy Saturday or Sunday. I'm filming this pretty late on a Saturday, so I don't know if it's gonna make it to you guys tonight or in the morning, so yeah. Also, as you can see, background still the same, haven't got to that yet. Everything is slowly coming together, so just please bear with me. I did get the lights kind of set up a little bit better this time, so that way we're not dealing with all of the constant light changes, because that really like irked me while I was editing my video. I'm like, what the fuck? But besides the point, let's get into today's story time. So I'm gonna bring you guys up close. There we go. Okay, so for those of you who may be new here, I'm going to do my quick usual little rundown. For most of the video, I'll be looking in this direction because my mirror's over here and I would like to see what I'm doing. I do tell these story times at a first person point of view, so if you don't like that, then you can leave.
There's the door. There's the door, bitch!
And these story times are sent in by anonymous people. Okay, y'all, so let's get into today's story time. Story time about how revenge isn't always the best option. So a little background information. This all started whenever I was 15 years old. And during this time, I was friends with a group of girls. And a little bit into the school year, we had met this group of boys and we all started talking a bunch, and then somehow our group came together and we all became best friends. Well, in this group of boys, there was a boy named Jake, and he was like a teacher's pet. I mean, actually no, he wasn't really a teacher's pet, but he was the kid who like did all of his schoolwork perfectly, but he just sat in the back of the class and literally never said shit. Like, not once. He never drew attention to himself. Like, he was like the loner one in the group. You know, the one that's like, if y'all are going to do something, they have no problem telling you, listen, I don't want to fucking do that, so I'm staying home, and they would literally rather just stay home than go out with you guys. That's the type of friend that Jake was. And you would think that this would make me, or really anybody, just not pay attention to him, but to be honest, this intrigued me. I was very interested to see what this boy was about. So the one day I eventually asked for his phone number or his Snapchat, whatever. Of course he gave it to me, and fast forward, I went home that day and I called my best friend Olivia and I was like, bro, oh my gosh, you're never gonna guess. I started telling her all about Jake and she was like, oh my goodness, like you guys would be such a cute couple, blah, blah, blah. Just being like a supportive best friend, which is all a girl could ever ask for.
Damn. He don't got a clue in the fucking world.
Anyway, so fast forward about 4 months, him and I have been talking this whole time, and low-key, it was giving about to be in a relationship vibes, okay? But he ended up going on a trip with his family for a month, and the whole time he was away, we talked on the phone 24/7. Like, majority of that trip, he was on FaceTime with me. And I'm not gonna lie, him being gone for a whole month, I didn't realize how much I actually liked him until I started missing him, which is like, ew, feelings, gross, ugh, disgusting. So fast forward, it's like a week until he comes home, and he just texts me out of the blue and he's like, I really cannot wait to see you. And I was like, oh my goodness, I actually really like this boy. What is going on? Guys, one side of my face is so much more red than the other. What the heck is going on? And yeah, that made me like him even more. Okay, listen y'all. I know that some of you who are younger have maybe never heard a guy say, oh, you're the only one I want, you're the only one that I love, I could see myself marrying you and having kids with you, blah, 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 bullshit, 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 bullshit. Literally, unless you found a good man, that all is trash. Take those words, crumple them up, and throw them in a fucking trash can. And make sure not to miss. Okay? Okay. Because my thing is, and how do you know if he's actually a good man saying this? Because his actions, like it'll show through his actions, okay? Like if a guy says, bro, like I really miss you, like I want to spend time with you, da-da-da-da-da, and then he doesn't put in the effort to spend time with you or talk to you, and he's hanging out with his friends, bro, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, he never wanted to spend time with you. Yep. That's all jokes and for shits and giggles on his end. He's like, oh, I'm gonna tell her I want to spend time with her, but I'm actually gonna go hang out with my friends. Love being a dickhead. Literally. And I know y'all probably think I'm being over dramatic, but I'm really trying to save y'all from some shit, okay? Because listen, relationships are hard as it is, and even harder nowadays with freaking technology and social media, okay? But what makes them even harder is whenever you have one person trying to carry the whole relationship on their back. And what is the other person doing? They're not even sitting there not helping. They are standing on top of the bricks that are on your fucking back, the bricks being the relationship, and they're stomping all over it. They're making it worse. And I know you're probably sitting there thinking, well, like, they don't know that it's hurting me. They do. They do. Especially if you tell them. I've told a man that he was hurting me before, and I told him what he could do to make it better. Do you think he promised me to do those things? Yeah. Do you think he followed through? No. Be so fucking for real. The only man that I have faith in nowadays is God. Because the ones on here are fucking demons. Like, literally, they will suck the fucking life out of you. Anyways, back to the story. So the next day that he came back home, we talked to each other and we were like, yo, like, we need to plan something and hang out. So what did we do? We planned to hang out the next day. And then, let's think, what happened? Oh, okay, so yeah, fast forward to the next day, I go over to my friend Olivia's house, and I decided that I need Olivia there for the first hangout for like moral support, okay? Like, this is gonna be the first guy that I'm ever like really hanging out with as like boyfriend material. So yeah, I needed my best friend there, okay? So, her and I get ready. We meet Jake in the park, and you know, we fuck around for a few hours, you know, just doing dumb shit. And then after that, we decide that it's time for like Olivia to kick rocks, so that way we could have some alone time. No, I'm just kidding, nothing fucking happened, literally. So fast forward to, what time? 7 o'clock. We tell Olivia, you gotta go. Okay, so Olivia goes home, right? Then Jake and I, he's like, yo, you wanna come to my house? I'm like, yeah, I wanna go to your house. So we go to his house, and I met his mom. His mom was the sweetest thing on earth. And then after I meet his mom and we eat some dinner, we go up to his room, and to say that things were awkward would be like an understatement, because like we didn't know what to do with ourselves. Like, we just kind of sat there like, so those Ninja Turtles on the shelf are pretty cool. Yeah, those dirty underwear on the floor look really nice too. Adds a pop of color to this room. Y'all get the point. So then he decides, okay, put on a movie. So we put on a movie. We're laying on his bed, and the tension in the room was insane. And I'm not talking like awkward tension. I mean the tension of both of us were basically chicken shits, and neither of us wanted to make the first move. Have any of y'all ever been the person who like has to make the first move every time? Personally, I don't make the first move. I'm not gonna lie, just because, well, I don't know why I don't. You know what it is? I'm gonna tell you what it is, okay? I will make the first move whenever I feel comfortable, okay? So like, for example, there are guys that, you know, will try to make the first move on the first date, and it's like, hold on, buddy. Whoa. Who raised you? Who? Anyways, yeah. So, you know, there are guys that will try to make the move on the first date, and I'll make the move whenever I feel comfortable. Like, if it's our third date and like fourth date and we haven't kissed, I'll kiss them. But like, be so fucking for real. These men really are out here thinking that they're gonna get laid on the first date, and it's like, what fantasy do you live in? Literally, it's quite comical, extremely funny. Anyways, like, there was this one guy that I had went on a date with a while ago, and coincidentally we were talking about weird guys, and now that I'm looking back at it, a lot of guys would probably consider him like a pick-me, because I mean, he really wasn't, but y'all, he was like, I'm not gonna lie, I have sisters, so I know there are a lot of guys out there who will try to pressure girls into doing stuff on the first date and just like being weirdos in general, but I'm not a weirdo, you know, and those other guys are weirdos. He's like, am I a weirdo? And I'm like, no bro, you're not weird. I think the fact that you asked that question maybe made it a little bit weird, but like, no, you're not. And then he goes and he's like, yeah, there are just like a lot of guys that can't read social cues, and I can read social cues really well. Like, if a girl isn't feeling it, I know that she's not feeling it, and I won't try to do anything. And yeah, he was a really good guy. If y'all are wondering what happened with that, I wasn't giving the vibe, and we ended up just ending that date as friends, and yeah, now we're friends. Anyways, back to the story. Like I said, neither of us made a move because we're chicken shit. Like, y'all, we didn't even hold hands. We literally laid there on the bed stiff, like boards, not looking at each other and just staring at the TV, even though a million thoughts were probably running through both of our heads. Not the fucking movie, I can tell you that. Couldn't tell you the first thing about that movie. Anyway, so after a few hours, my mom, she comes, she picks me up, and honestly, my mom and I have an amazing relationship. Like, she is literally my best friend. And I'm not talking about the mom best friend that lets you smoke crack in the house, okay? I'm talking about the mom best friend that you can talk to and you can tell her, like, oh my gosh, I like this boy, and she won't sit there and be like, oh, no. Like, y'all get what I mean, right? Like, if you don't, then you don't. But if you do, then you do. I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, I was telling her how much I liked him, and my mom got super excited for me because she could see how happy that I was. She was just super supportive. And y'all, get yourselves a supportive mom. I don't know how you could do that, but if you can, you know. And this is for all the moms out there. Remember, you cannot protect your kids from everything. You can try, but most likely it's not gonna work, and you're gonna end up driving them very far away from you. Okay? Just be there for them when they need you. Obviously, I'm not saying let your kid go and hang out the worst part of town, okay? But I'm saying, even if you think the guy that she's talking to is gonna break her heart, give her your opinion, give her advice. Just go to her and be like, you know, I'm really happy that you guys are together, but I just want you to be aware, you know, that there are red flags that you need to look out for. And she'll probably be like, yeah, mom, whatever. Okay? And if she gets her heart broke, just be there for her. Don't be like, oh, I told you so, like you're annoying. Like, why would you do that? Do you want me to sit there whenever you're 80 and you're in a fucking wheelchair because you thought you could jump on a trampoline at fucking 50? And be like, oh, I told you so. No. What? But yeah, do not force her not to be with him, because the only thing that's gonna cause is her to rebel against you, and you are going to push her into his arm. And a lot of the excuses that I hear, it's like, oh, well, my mom raised me like that, and look how I turned out. Yeah, bro, you have fucking literally trauma from your childhood. And guess what, Brenda? Look at a fucking mirror. Do you look like your mom? No, you don't. So be a supportive mom, okay? Like, damn, not that deep, for real. I just made it that deep though. Whatever. But yeah, fast forward to that same night, him and I are texting, and we eventually obviously agree to meet up again. And then the second time that we hung out was so much better. You know why I feel like it's so much better though? I mean, one, we went to the mall and we had something to do, like we went shopping together, you know, it was fun, blah, 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 blah. But like, also, I feel like if you're hanging out with your boyfriend for the first time, or like a guy that you like for the first time with your best friend, it's like, it's not a time for you and the guy that you like to get to know each other. Okay? And usually, yeah, you don't do that. That's not how a first date's supposed to go. Okay? 2 is a relationship, 3 is company. Okay. Anyway, so fast forward a few weeks, he eventually asked me to be his girlfriend, which, like, I already knew he was going to. And he asked me over text because, if y'all haven't caught on yet, we are very awkward people, so I wasn't even mad that he asked me over text if I would be his girlfriend. So, you know, we officially become official, okay? And almost everybody knew about it. Now, the first 4 months of our relationship were amazing. Amazing. Literally. He would take me to dinner all the time. He introduced me to his whole family. I introduced him to all of mine. I literally was getting princess treatment all the time. So at this point, I like knew that I was in love with this boy. And even more so because he was my first for everything. He was my first kiss. He was my first real boyfriend. He also took my B card, so there was also that attachment. Yeah. Well, fast forward 6 months into the relationship, I started suffering really bad with my mental health. Okay, y'all, we are going to put a trigger warning in here. I'm going to be talking about self-harm. Don't worry, you're not gonna miss a huge part of the story. So if you want, you can skip here to this part of the video and continue from there. See you in a little bit. So I never had a really good experience in school. I mean, hardly even a good experience in school. Like, I got bullied a lot. And for some reason, the past few months were really bad, and I have told my parents about this, but listen, I begged them not to tell anybody because I'm not the kid that's gonna be bullied even more for being a snitch. Let me tell you something, okay? I do not care who you have to tell. You better tell somebody if you are being bullied. I don't care. Anybody who will listen. If your teacher doesn't listen, go to the principal. If the principal doesn't listen, go to your parents. If your parents don't fucking listen, go to a guidance counselor. Go to everybody that you can. Tell them you're being bullied. Call the fucking news. Call them. Be like, yeah, I'm being bullied and nobody's doing anything about it in my school. Act like you're your mom. Call the news. Be like, yeah, my kid's being fucking bullied and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Listen, this is not fucking prison, okay? If somebody calls you a snitch, yes, I'm a snitch. I told on you because you were bullying me. Oh my God, like, wow, what did you expect? Like, yo, if I have to go to trial against my boyfriend who murdered somebody, do you think that I'm gonna sit there and be like, no, it was me because I'm not gonna be a snitch? No, he did it. The fuck? Put me in jail for what? I didn't do shit, and I will tell them that, and I will tell them in front of him. Because listen, that thing, do you really think that somebody is gonna come up to you when you were 25 years old and be like, I heard you're a fucking snake, I heard you're a snitch, I heard you're a rat? Yeah, because like, bro, like you told on these girls for bullying you when you were 13. It's not gonna fucking happen, bro. It's not. Go tell a teacher, for real. Like I said, if a teacher doesn't listen, tell everybody. Tell the fucking news. They love that shit. They eat that shit right up. It's like a kid in a candy shop. Back to the story. So yeah, I started suffering really bad with my mental health, okay? And before I knew it, things got so bad to the point where I was trying to let out all this negative shit that I had going on in my head on myself. I started self-harming. And honestly, I would have rather died than tell Jake or my parents what I was going through. But honestly, Jake knew that something was wrong because I was distancing myself from him, and we started arguing a ton. So then eventually that made him start distancing himself from me, which then made me even more depressed. Well, eventually my parents found out about my self-harming because the one night I had overdosed on pills and they came up to my room, they found me, and then I had to go to the hospital. And my parents were super upset that I was keeping all these things to myself that I was going through, and they had no idea. But fast forward a few weeks of me being in and out of the hospital on suicide watch, I decided that this wasn't fair to Jake because we were young and he shouldn't have to deal with this, and I knew that it was affecting him. So eventually I sat him down and I talked to him and I was like, listen, like, I just feel like we need to go on a break. Of course we would still be friends, but just until I got into a good place in my life, we had to distance ourselves because I didn't want to hurt him and drag him down with me. Even though I was the one who also suggested the breakup, it did hurt me because I loved him, but in reality I was doing it for him. You know what they say, if you love something, let it go, and if it's yours, it will make its way back to you. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if the second part is a part of that saying, but yeah. So him and I end up going on a break for a month, and things started to get way better for me. I stopped going to the hospital as much, and I'm not gonna lie, Jake and I, we both realized that this break wasn't even really a break because we could not stay away from each other for the life of us. So we just decided to get back together again. But something was definitely different this time. Whenever him and I decided to just be friends, I didn't really ask him if he was talking to other girls because I didn't feel the need to. I didn't really think that he was, and also it kind of wasn't my business. But I've also never been the type to accuse him of cheating, and I never ever thought that he was, or that he was doing anything secretive behind my back, because he never gave me a reason not to trust him. Y'all, listen, even if somebody does not give you a reason not to trust them, that could just mean that they're extremely sneaky, okay? Guess what? My ex was cheating on me for months. I had suspected it, but because he never gave me a reason not to believe him or trust him before, I trusted him and I believed him, even though God was putting it on my heart that that man was doing something. What do you know? I find out. I was right. And if I would have just went through his phone, I would have found out as soon as it happened. Yeah, so if you have a gut feeling or God's putting it on your heart, well, do with that information as you wish. You can decide to take that as I told you to do it, or or I told you not to. And feel free to blame it on me. Anyways, back to the story. So after about 2 weeks of him and I being back together, I had a gut feeling. I did. The gut feeling that something was not right. So eventually he leaves his phone unattended near me.
Sounds like a new opportunity.
So what do? I take this opportunity to confirm whether my suspicions were correct or not. And I go on Snapchat. I see my best friend's name, Olivia. And then I decide to scroll up in the chat. And what do you know? What do you know? They are saying that they love each other and that they want to be together and blah, 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 blah. Not to mention, there was another girl who was pinned on his Snapchat. And they were clearly snapping 24/7 because they were both each other's best friends, #1 best friends, and then also he had her pinned. And this girl's name is Amelia. She just so happened to be one of the girls who bullied me. And Jake knew that. But clearly he didn't give a fuck about that at all. So whenever Jake came back, I questioned him about the shit with Olivia and then also Amelia. I was like, so how come you're talking to Amelia and you also are telling my best friend that you love her and want to be with her? His response was, oh, well, the thing with Olivia happened the day after you and I decided to take a break. And it's like, okay, you little twat, you couldn't wait at least a fucking week. And then he told me that him and Olivia had actually dated during that month. And I was crushed because I've been best friends with this girl for 13 years. Our moms knew each other before we could walk. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie, what is up, like, with your childhood best friends fucking y'all over? Like, seriously, this just goes to show, do not give anybody your full trust except for the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, okay? Because listen, people will screw you over in the blink of an eye. They will stab you in the back, literally. Oh, and the cherry on top of this garbage pie was the fact that Amelia and him had a thing going on literally the day before him and I got back together. And he said that he had only kissed her, which, if he's being honest, that's great, but I don't fucking buy it because clearly this whole situation just proved that he's sneaky. Y'all, I know I keep interrupting the story, but whatever, because listen, if your man was talking to somebody a day before y'all got back together, you need to figure out how serious that shit actually was, okay? Because the last thing you want is to be in a relationship with your man, and find out that he's cheating on you with a girl that he caught feelings for, and the only reason why he's with you is because he wants to have his cake and eat it too. Like, y'all just better make sure that she was a placeholder for you or she was a side chick and that's all it was, because you will save yourself from a lot of hurt. You better make sure that she also knows that she was the side hoe as well, because she could make your life a living hell. Yeah. So at this point, I didn't really know what to do. And instead of looking the situation for what it was and getting mad at him, yeah, I think you guys already know where this is going. I'm embarrassed to say it, but I took all of my anger out on the girl in the situation, Olivia. I mean, low-key though, I had a good reason to. Like, I feel like in this situation, she was the one who owed me the most loyalty. But clearly she didn't feel the same. And I didn't text Amelia because I've never spoken to this girl. She's my school bully. I'm not gonna fucking go off on her and make it worse for myself at school. Like, what? So yeah, I message Olivia. I call her every name in the book. Every name you could think of. And she knew that she fucked up because she blocked me. She didn't even respond. And I feel like the one thing that she did owe me was a response. Like, that is the least you could do for me after what you did. And then so I start calling her off a different number and I'm telling her, like, listen, I'm going to beat your ass. And that's when she's like, yeah, bro, did you forget that my uncle is a cop? Did you forget? And then I'm like, I did. Click. Yeah, I was not about to play with that. Olivia, you're off the hook. Go, girl. So fast forward, a few months go by and I'm in school walking to my next class when all of a sudden I see Jake curled up in the corner where these tables were with Amelia. Like, they're both just all like nuzzled against each other in the corner. And honestly, I knew that he'd never stopped texting her, but I didn't want to lose him, so I never confronted him about it. And I never asked him if anything was going on between them, because yes, I would rather have my boyfriend while he is cheating on me than not have him at all. Until this, because this really made my blood boil, okay? Like, not having to see it is one thing, because then you don't really have to accept reality, but then seeing it, that just really strikes the nerve, hits a nerve, yeah. And something took over me, and I messaged him and I was like, you better block that whore and leave her alone, or else this will be the last time that you hear from me. Did I mean this? Obviously not. I was bluffing, okay? I honestly just wanted to scare him. And I felt that this would prove if he really cares about me or not. Like, in a way of, is he willing to throw away his whole relationship with his first love for some random girl? So then a few minutes later, he opens my message and he doesn't respond to it. Then after class, I'm walking to lunch with my friends, and all of a sudden, some girl comes up to me and starts talking to me. My friends keep walking, and the next thing I know, I'm surrounded by 20 girls who are literally screaming at me. And I'm looking around at all of them, and then who do I see in the back? Amelia standing next to my boyfriend. And they're all screaming in my face, telling me that I'm a hoe, and that if I have something to say to Amelia, I need to say it to her face, which is quite comical because she literally was hiding behind all of her friends. So how am I supposed to get to her to tell her to her face? But yeah, they're all telling me that they're gonna beat my ass, and the worst part was I'm looking at Jake for help, and then finally after like 5 minutes of them screaming in my face, making fun of me, Jake finally decides to come over and tell them to all back away. Like, wow, my hero. Boyfriend of the Year award goes to Jake. Ladies, get you a man who will sit there and watch you be bullied and degraded for 5 minutes straight while he watches. Because honestly, he's just doing that for your character development. Like, seriously, he really cares about you if you think about it. I'm literally just joking. If any of you do that, jail, prison. To not get you a man like that, okay? Telling you right now, that man does not care about you. No man will sit there and watch his girlfriend, the girl that he likes, be degraded and shit on, okay? Okay. So after they like left, I literally walked straight out the door. I didn't go to lunch. I said, fuck school. I walked out the door. I wasn't doing it. No. And I was supposed to go to Jake's house that day after school, but obviously I wasn't gonna go there. So I decided to walk to my grandma's. Well, about 2 minutes later, I hear footsteps behind me, and it's Jake trying to keep up with me, trying to tell me that he's sorry. But you know what also came across my mind is the fact that he had to have been sitting there and been like, look, Amelia, look at what she said about you. Because how else would she fucking know? She wouldn't. That's the thing. She wouldn't have known. Y'all, I feel like I do this all the time where I get too into the story and then I completely forget that I'm supposed to be doing my makeup. So yeah. Anyways, so yeah, like I said, he's like chasing after me. He eventually catches up to me and we're like in this alleyway and he's like trying to stall me almost. He's like, no, like please don't go, just look at me, talk to me. And then what do you know, I'm talking to him for like 2 minutes and his fucking mom pulls up, of course. And you know, she's like, oh honey, get in, you know, it's gonna start raining soon. I don't want you being out here alone, da-da-da. So I'm like, all right, whatever, bro. And she was also like, yeah, like we can all talk about things, you know. And before we get out of the car, I look at Jake and I'm like, let me see your fucking phone. He gives me his phone and what do you know, he's Snapchatting Amelia while we're in the car together, while he's apologizing. Where is the disconnect, bro? Come on, think. Like, he's not even trying to be sneaky. And the worst part is I'm literally trapped in a house with him and his mother. But I thought that maybe his mom could talk some sense into him. Honestly, that was the dumbest thing that I've ever thought in my life, because he is literally the biggest mommy's boy ever. Literally. And she was one of those moms where he could do nothing wrong in her eyes. Her son was a perfect angel. Anyway, so we get into the house and his mom sits us both down at the kitchen table and I explain what's going on. And then she looks at Jake and she's like, I think it would be best if you block Amelia. So what does he do? He blocks Amelia and he shows his mom and I the phone. And I'm not gonna lie, even though I was still hurt, this lifted a weight off of my shoulders. Because I was like, okay, good. His mom talks some sense into him, and if he's gonna listen to anybody, it'll be his mom. So after this, I decide, okay, the situation's over and done with. I'm not gonna bring it up anymore, and I completely forget it. I act like nothing happened. I didn't tell my parents about it, obviously, because as every other, mostly girls in the fucking world, we never tell anybody about what our significant other does because we don't want anybody to think different of them. We won't even vent about anything that they do because we don't want anybody sitting there and being like, oh, well, he's not good for you, da 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 da. Like, it sucks to admit, but I know we all do it. So fast forward, it's been about a month since he blocked Amelia, and his parents and I were going on a weekend long trip, and everything was great until literally the first fucking day. We get there, and then the first day that I wake up, I get my period, and I'm like, shit. So then, what do? I go to the bathroom, I get a fucking shower, and then I go back into the room, and when I go back into the room, Jake is still sleeping. It's early as hell in the morning. I get back into bed, and I go on my phone, it's dead. The charger's on Jake's side of the bed, so I couldn't really play my phone on the charger. So I decided to grab his phone because I wanted to watch TikToks, okay? Until he woke up. So I grab his phone, and when it opens on Snapchat. And listen, I was at the point now where, like I said, I was over the situation. I still feel the exact same that I did before this whole situation with Amelia and Olivia happened, of not invading their space. You know, when a situation's over, it's over. But then I realized his Bitmoji looked a little different, and y'all already know, curiosity killed the cat. I fucking went through that phone. Yes, I did. So I go onto the chats, and what do you know? Amelia. The only fucking name on there. Bro made a fake Snapchat, literally just to Snapchat her. Next to her name, there are a bunch of hearts and everything, and blah, blah, blah. And y'all, when I went to see what their conversations, it was worse than you could imagine. All of the conversations were literally like about me. He was sending her pictures of me, making fun of me with her. Not to mention, he sent her my nudes and was making fun of my nudes with her. Not only that, but in these conversations, they were talking about how they were having sex and how it was so funny that I haven't found out and that they're getting away with this. I almost went psychotic, literally. How dare you? Literally a disgusting human being, seriously. Listen, I do not care if you guys think I'm a psycho bitch for this, but I took the phone, I went into his room, parents' room, and I woke his mom up screaming, he's fucking cheating on me. And she looks at me and she's like, no, honey, no, 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 he loves you, he loves you. And I'm like, look at the messages, bro, look at the messages. She looks at the messages, right? And she's like, fuck, bro, I could see it on her face. So then she goes, and she's like, stay here, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna talk to Jake. She goes into Jake's room. She talks to him, and about 15 minutes later, he came out. Definitely was not expecting this, but he said, I don't love you anymore, so my mom's gonna take you home in a second and you need to pack your shit. At this point, I was basically numb to everything, so I did just that. I packed my stuff and I got in the car, and then I had an awkward 5-hour car ride home with his mom. When I walk in the door, my parents knew that something was wrong because I was home 4 days early, but also because I broke down crying, and I never cry in front of them. So, you know, everybody's worried about me, but this was such a hard time for me. For the next like month, I pretty much locked myself in my room and didn't come out. Honestly, I don't want to go into too much detail about it, but I was like drastically losing weight. I was tearing myself apart, telling myself that maybe if I were prettier, funnier, maybe if I had a better body, that none of this would have happened and he would have loved me more. So fast forward 2 months after the breakup, Jake's cousin reaches out to me, and we're gonna call him Alex. Now, Alex, I knew that he was Jake's cousin, but him and I really never spoke. There was no reason for us to ever speak, so. But yeah, he adds me on Snapchat, and I actually add him back. And, you know, he starts texting me, and he's like, yeah, Jake told me about the breakup and how it was super bad, and I'm just like, yeah, bro, it was. And honestly, I was super dry with him, even though he was saying things like, yeah, like, he's so fucked up. To be honest, I'm embarrassed to even say I'm related to him for what he did to you, da-da-da. But obviously, I'm taking all of this with a grain of salt because I literally do not trust anybody. Think about it. My first ever boyfriend was sending my nudes to a girl who bullied me and making fun of them with her, not to mention the cheating part. And then my best friend of 13 years, while I was going through a really deep depression, got with my boyfriend. So yeah, excuse me if I'm not trusting anybody anymore. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was a setup. Like, listen, I've seen those situations where, you know, and especially since fucking Amelia and Jake would make fun of me, I thought it was gonna be one of those things where, you know, they're like, oh, talk to her, get her to like you, and then, you know, we're all gonna say that it was a prank, blah, 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 and then like hurt me even more than they already hurt me. But after a few days of talking to him, I actually really warmed up to him, and turns out he was actually a really good guy. So the one day he asks me if we can talk on the phone, and I said yeah. We got on the phone, you know, we were talking for a little bit. And one thing about me that really annoys me is the fact that I get comfortable with people too quickly, okay? And when I get comfortable with them, I feel comfortable sharing everything about myself until I actually take time to get to know who they are as a person and their character. So after a little bit of being on the phone, I told him everything about like my mental health and me trying to unalive myself. Yeah, literally told him everything. And the phone just went silent, so I was like, great, bro. I just scared him away, or great. All three of them are gonna pop out laughing at me, or he's gonna end the phone call and never speak to me again because he's gonna think that I'm like a psycho. But actually, he was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, like, I'm sorry that you had to go through any of that. I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, like, I'm so sorry that Jake caused you that much pain. Like, you do not deserve to go through that. Like, that's awful. And if I'm being honest, that was like so nice to hear, because at the end of the day, I felt like I had nobody. My friends that I had told about everything that happened, they were like, oh, well, get over it, things happen. Oh, well, you know, you should have saw this coming, blah, 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 blah. Just not supportive at all. And yes, I know that my parents love and care about me, but it's different when you don't have any of your peers supporting you, okay? Way different. So fast forward, a few weeks go by, and we actually end up becoming really good friends, and we decide that we were gonna go for lunch the one day. And you know, we went for lunch, and while we are sitting there, we start talking about a plan for me to get back at Jake. And listen, I know it sounds childish, okay? But the plan is that we were going to go back to Alex's house. His mom wasn't gonna be home. We were gonna send Jake a bunch of pictures of us kissing and just make him mad. So that's exactly what we did. Well, Jake had me blocked on everything, so Alex sent him a bunch of pictures of us like making out and stuff like that. And so I go home, and then I wake up the next morning to a DM from Jake. He had unblocked me, and he called me a whore, a slut, this, that, and the next. And I was expecting it, to be honest, and I really didn't care because I didn't care about what he thought about me anymore. But then what really hurt was I go to text Alex and I realized that I'm blocked on everything. Yeah, I'm literally blocked on everything that you can think of. So after this, I eventually get a text from Alex's mom. Oh, and I ended up blocking Jake. I saw on his Instagram he was dating Amelia, and I was like, bro, I'm not dealing with this shit, block. So yeah, like I said, Alex's mom messaged me, and she was like, you're a nasty little whore. Stay the fuck away from my son. If I see you near him, I'm going to call the cops and you will be arrested. Which, like, now looking back at it, I don't even know what she could have got me arrested for, because we literally were both teenagers, but like, okay. But I guess that Jake's mom must have told Alex's mom about my mental instability, because she also sent me another text saying, I heard you tried to kill yourself. Well, next time you should try harder, because no one wants you here, and I hope you die, you filthy bitch. Yeah. Now, of course, me being a 16-year-old girl reading this, the first message was like, whatever. But she definitely did not have to send the second one. Like, that was not needed. And for you to be a grown woman texting a teenage girl those things, shame on you. Anybody who does that involves themselves in drama when it comes to their kids, unless it's like life-threatening, it's gross. You should not be a grown adult coming at a child. Seriously. If there's a problem, go to the parents. If the parents won't take care of the problem, go to the police. Like, no. Anyway, so I told my mom about it and I showed her the text, and my mom just tells me to block her and block Alex, which was like not what I wanted to hear. Like, I don't know what I really wanted my mom to say to me, but I wanted her to be like, oh, well, like, you know, I'll kick that bitch's ass, blah, blah, blah. But I knew that she just wanted the best for me and she wanted it to be over with. So it's actually been a year since this whole situation, and I haven't spoke to Jake since. And Alex and I, we've talked. He'll text me and check up on me, and he didn't even know that his mom sent that text. So yeah, he also apologized for that. But y'all will be happy to hear that I am doing so much better than I was back whenever that whole situation happened. And just remember, guys, if you're going through something, it does get better, I promise. Coming from somebody who literally went through the worst, like, thing, I really thought that I was going to not make it out alive. I promise. Things get better. Okay, everybody, that is the end of today's story time. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, maybe hit that subscribe button down below. And if you want to know whenever I post my next video, make sure to click that bell. And if you guys want to send in your anonymous story times, or you want to know how to send in your anonymous story times, make sure to click the links down below in the description. But other than that, I will see you guys next Saturday with a new story time.